Well, this was certainly not what I expected to be doing with my life. I will say that right now. I was, yeah, your typical stay-at-home mom. I actually left a very successful career in business and marketing to stay at home with my two beautiful daughters for the past, I guess it was about 15 years, and loved it. Just got into that world. I was the volunteer at the school. I ran the PTA and all of the local social groups and the soccer mom, the typical soccer mom. Loved it, and lived that life for a very long time. As many of us experience our spiritual awakenings with a struggle, mine happened the same way. I had been experiencing some chronic pain for quite some time, actually. It had started after the birth of my second daughter. They're now teenagers. And this pain was in my hip, my back, and my leg. I had a lot of numbness and pain going on. And I was going to a lot of doctors, every year getting my insurance card, renewed hope, right? Going to these doctors to be healed, and was ending up with a lot of tests and medications, physical therapy on that hamster wheel, we get on where we just keep going to all of these things and nothing's really helping. And each year I was getting worse and worse. And right about the time that this pain really started to become a problem, meaning I wasn't driving anymore. I had so much pain and so much numbness in my legs. I was nervous to drive my own children. My family decided to make a move. We moved from one side of town to the other, and I wasn't in favor of this move because I lived in this really cushy neighborhood where there were a lot of moms, a lot of kids all the same age, and everybody took care of everybody, real family feel. And when I was having a bad day, I would often be taken care of. I'd get that phone call, let me get the kids for you after school, or what do you need at the grocery store? I didn't really have to get better. But I truly believe in divine guidance. The universe picked me up and spit me out in a neighborhood where I didn't quite have that same situation. And I found myself very alone in a neighborhood that I didn't fit in at all. Tried to make all of the old things work. The PTA vice president, they hated me, kicked me out, But, I really had to be alone. And I was 40 years old. And I had to take a really hard look at myself in the mirror. I was on a variety of different pain medications, anti-inflammatories. I had stopped driving. I was having my nerves ablated every other month. And I was washing it all down with alcohol, starting at 5 o'clock in the evening. And I knew that this wasn't working for me, and that if I kept going down this road, I would not be the mom nor the person that I wanted to be. So synchronistically enough, the universe dropped me exactly where I needed to be because I had never been exposed to Eastern philosophy in my life. I grew up Catholic. I, was raised in a very strict Catholic Italian family. I started to become exposed to things like meditation and the law of attraction and really started to delve in, not for really any type of spiritual awakening, but to help me get better. My pain was really the focal point for me. And so I started to meditate religiously to disconnect myself from this pain. And I started to notice some really interesting things happening. And when I say religiously, I was a 3-time-a-day meditator, morning, afternoon, and evening. And I started to hear voices in my head. And, we all kind of have that experience where we say, oh, my mind made that up. And, we don't believe, right, what we hear. And that was me. I thought, well, my mind's too busy. I need to stop this. But at the same time, as I was walking about my day, I started to notice some really interesting things while I was not in meditation. I would be having very casual conversations with people in the grocery store, people I barely knew. And I would hear things about them that was very personal. And I would come home and I would think, did they really say that to me out loud? And if they said that to me, I didn't respond, which is very rude. And I started to accuse myself of being a poor listener. But what I ended up finding out is I'm a very excellent listener. And this all culminated for me in one event, December 2010. which completely changed my path and opened me to this gift. Christmas morning, it was Christmas morning. I'm the oldest of three children and have everyone to my house Christmas Day. It was 15 people coming over for a dinner party. I had purchased a beef tenderloin and made the same recipe every year, that one that takes all the extra work. You need all the special ingredients. You have to marinate, go through the extra steps. And got up that morning renewed, feeling great, ready to make this recipe, excited for the day, went to the pantry and realized I had forgotten to purchase 3 very key ingredients for this recipe. There was a beef stock, a red wine, and a spice that I needed. And I got on a stool. I was pushing things around thinking, surely I can mock this up. I've got to have something that's remotely close to what I need. And there was nothing. And I started to get a little stressed. And I thought, I knew the grocery stores were all closed on the holiday. So I actually called the corner gas station to ask them if they had anything on the shelf similar, which of course they didn't. So I was getting very stressed, right? And around that time for me, stress equaled pain. I knew if I was stressed, my pain levels would increase. So that meant straight to meditation for me. This was my practice. So I went straight into meditation and told the kids, Mom needs a few minutes. Closed the bedroom door, went into a very deep meditation that morning. And what I heard forever changed my life. It was a very deep male voice, as if in the room with me. And there were only 3 words, very simple. Those 3 words were, I am Jacob. And it shook me out of the meditation. And I looked around the room, and I was kind of startled, but yet not frightened. I did not feel any fear at all. I actually felt this very beautiful, blissful feeling come over my body. I just felt very peaceful and buzzy energy. And I tried to communicate back with Jacob that day, but I didn't really hear anything back from him. But I thought, wow, that was really cool. I don't know what that was, but this is silly. Here I am stressing out about a Christmas dinner. I can salt and pepper this thing. This was ridiculous. So I walked back out into the kitchen and I opened the pantry door. And there on the shelf in a very neat row, lined up right in front of my eyes, were the 3 ingredients that I needed for the tenderloin, the beef stock, the red wine, and the spice. And, of course, I was overjoyed. I thought, wow, I manifested something into my physical reality, that day. And I just remember it being a very beautiful day. I made the dinner. I just remember it being a very special time with my family. But after that happened, I kind of put that whole experience out of my mind, as we tend to do. I thought, wow, I really missed those ingredients on the shelf the whole time, right in front of my face. But deep down I knew there was something bigger going on there. And what that did was it shook me into really finding myself on a deeper level and understanding what were these voices I was hearing, what was really going on with me. So I really delved into all of this, the clairaudience and researching that and very intentionally started meditating and connecting and asking for more of it. And I got it. I got it in a very big way.